Hey, good evening, everybody. Tanya Diamond here, and I'm coming to you to talk tonight about why it's so difficult to get away from a sexual predator once he has, once you realize that there's abuse going on, and people are telling you, and you may even hear from a bunch of other people that he's saying and doing the same things to them that he did to you, and yet you can't leave. Why is that? Why is it so hard to believe? Well, first of all, when a sexual predator isn't violent towards you, if he's done the sexual predator groom you to be lover kind of thing, and so you actually believe you have 100% the actual feelings of falling in love. You are in love. He has created those chemical bonding hormones. He's created a high. He's created all of the right chemicals for you to be in love, regardless of it um, happening right away, like in an hour or two, regardless if you have a partner or not, regardless of anything, you all of a sudden believe you are, and you are in love with him, her, them. And so when you've got that going on, and they can, even if you're not seeing them regularly, but they keep a hook and they keep texting, they keep calling, they keep the chemistry going, you may not see them but once a month or once every few months or something like that, and still you're hooked in. You keep those chemicals every time they send you a text, every time you hear their voice, every time something like that happens, or they remind you of something that happened, you are hooked back in to that chemistry. It's kind of like when you take somebody on an adrenaline date, or you have a catastrophe during the date. It's very bonding. People bond when that happens, and it's very difficult for them to um, really think about anything else other than feeling they had when they were with you. So, couple that with a great orgasm or the great presence, things like that, really somebody who's right there, and you feel like you've never ever been connected to anybody like that ever again. And you don't realize that it was created purposely. You just don't realize that you are one of many that he's doing the exact same thing to. And so what he's saying is just kind of crap. It's not really true for him, but it is absolutely 100% true for you. So now you find out that this person who you believed is your lover, who treats you like his lover, even though he's still making you pay half price maybe, but he's still making you pay, or she's still making you pay, and you believe that you have something special because you've been told that and you feel that, and it's all real. The chemicals are real. And now you find out that basically he does that with everybody, and people are telling you, get out now. This is dangerous. He's dangerous. And, of course, if he's threatening you now with attorneys, and he's threatening to tell your family and your friends and all of that, that's hard enough. But the reality still is you're in love. Now, people say you can never love somebody that's abusive or somebody that hurts you or anything like that. And that's not true. People love people kind of like no matter what, if the chemicals are there. So it's not that easy to just let go of somebody. That's not unconditional love, by the way. That's just hormone soup. So if you couple that, and if you happen to have any sexual chemistry with it, which is a pheromone thing, and that's nothing that somebody can create, either have it or you don't. But if it happens, you happen to have that as well, you are pretty done for. It's a really difficult thing to walk away from. And remember, this particular guy I'm talking about isn't beating people. So there's no violence in his how he seduces people in, and then what he's doing. There's no violence in that, so it's even harder then. But he's a manipulative, fraud, lying piece of crap, and so um, he's still managing to convince some women that they should, like, he is sorry or whatever has happened, that they're the only one that he crossed the line with, or this happened to. And it's in the face of everybody writing stories about him. It's kind of bullshit that's the case. It's like, it's not true. And yet I feel for the women that can't get away. I feel for them to be afraid because he's also threatening people with attorneys and threatening, like I said, to tell families and threatening all this stuff. And it's like bullshit. First of all, hey, here's the deal. I just want to walk you through this process so you kind of understand. So, first, it's hard to get away because you're in love and you have a chemical reaction, and that chemistry makes you believe this can't be true because your feelings are so deep and so there and so connected. You can't believe that this is abuse. You can't believe you were abused. You can't believe that this is not true. And for some people, they feel so embarrassed, humiliated, or even feel stupid about what happened that it's easier to disbelieve there's a problem. That's the least painful. It's less painful than thinking, oh my God, look at this dumbass shit thing that I just did, and I could lose everything. And it's easier to believe that it's real. It's easier to believe that, he's sorry, he loves you, whatever, it's all real, because it's easier. But here's the thing, you're not stupid. You weren't stupid. You were duped. You were manipulated. You were abused by a master manipulator. And it doesn't mean he's smart, because he isn't. It just means he understands chemistry and he's a predator. So he's a serial predator who knows how to do the same thing over and over again to achieve the same result. And that sucks, and the damage he does is horrible. But here's the thing about the police. So the next thing, or the attorney. So the next thing these guys do is say, oh, you're calling my name out? I'm going to get an attorney. Well, let me tell you that I'm going to get an attorney on me, like so many times, I can't even tell you. And it rarely happens. The one time it did happen, I was like, yeah, whatever. Wait till we go to court. Yay, that'll be fun. Let's go to court. I want to put the entire press behind me when we do that. They walked away. They never did anything. So it's all talk. And so let's walk through that scenario, okay? You walk into an attorney's office. I'm going to be the predator. I walk into the attorney's office and I go, I need an attorney. Somebody's defaming me. Somebody's libeling me. Somebody's, slamming my name around and calling me out and things like that on social media. And the attorney's like, oh yeah, what for? Oh, they're calling me a sexual predator. And the attorney's like, oh, like this isn't their first rodeo. Come on, people. And they go, oh, okay. So what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a massage therapist, he says. Oh, and you have people saying that you're a sexual predator? Have you ever been investigated? The attorney wants to know whether or not they have a case. And the guy's like, oh, well, and so what happened? What are they saying happened? And what's he going to say here? Oh, well, they came in for sex, and then the attorney's like, oh, you're a sex worker. And, oh, no, I'm a tantric healer. Okay, like, what's that? Well, that's where women come to me to help heal their abuse. And the attorney's like, and how do you do that? And he goes, well, I do this energy work, or, I touch their body. I do this. And he goes, so women are paying you to touch their bodies? And he's like, well, yeah, because I heal them and whatever. And he's like, okay, that's classified in most states as sex work. But okay, so you're a sex worker, and some women have, a scorned lover has come in, somebody's come in and complained about you. No, they're complaining about me on social media, and they're all getting together, and, oh, so there's more than one. Oh, well, no, there's just the one. Okay, so there's one. You see how this is going, right? So at the end of all this, the attorney's kind of like, okay, so you want to take somebody to court because they're saying that you abused them, sexually abused them during your work. And some have said that, he's like, no, they're scorned. She's a scorned lover. She's a scorned lover. So a scorned lover is calling you out in social media or telling stories about you that you have abused them. And he's like, yeah, and you want that to stop, defame you? Saying, yes. Okay, well, one of the things you're going to have to prove is that it's costing you income. So we're going to need to look at all your books and see how much money you make, and then see where it is that you've lost money because somebody's calling you names. Well, you think he's going to go for that? Dude, the guy probably hasn't paid taxes. The dude's a cash only kind of guy. Like, really? He wants now somebody to investigate his books? The attorney may be saying even like, and it's kind of dicey. You're doing sex work, and, have you ever do you have any police records? He's not going to want to say yes, but he does. So, and those police records are for sexual assault. Oh, all right. What now? What now? All right, because and even if he doesn't tell the attorney that, the attorney's going to pull his public records and find out he has a public record for sexual assault, filed for sexual assault. So you can see how this is going to go. And yet these guys are like, and women are like, oh, I'm going to call an attorney. They're going to badass. They're going to kick your ass. They're going to whatever. No, no, no. It's hard enough to prove libel, when you're talking about, businesses, big businesses and stuff like that. People are screaming, Walmart sucks, this sort of thing. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's got to be on them to prove that you somehow damaged them, somehow damaged their financial situation, or that you're lying about them. And you know what? Do you think in courts now? So then let's take the next thing. It's COVID right now, right? How long do you think it would take something like that if it were to even ever get to trial, which it wouldn't go to trial? So I know somebody right now that's fighting or trying to get something about self-employment or I'm sorry, unemployment. November, December, stuff like that. I mean, come on, like so even if he found an attorney who was desperate enough to take his money for something that could never happen, there's nothing that's going to happen. But these guys really scare people with that whole "I'm going to get an attorney" thing. So now, hopefully, that. So the next thing they try to do is scare you with "I'm going to tell your family, your husband, your wife. I'm going to tell people." Can you just imagine? So my ex, if some guy walked up to the house and told him that I had used him as an escort and I was, uh, now calling him out or whatever, like my ex would have beat the shit out of him first and then asked me questions. So, like, what is this guy? Like, he's not worried about that he's going to walk into somebody's house and not get shot by somebody who hit somebody's husband or who's like, who is this guy? What the hell are you doing at my house? And what are you saying? So he's kind of dumb in that regard too, if he really believes that that's something that he could get away with. And you know what? If he walked up on my doorstep and I saw him coming in, he knocked on the door or whatever, I'd call the police. I'd call the police and say, hey, this guy sexually abused me. Yeah. So anyway, it all sucks. These guys are horrid. The women that do it are not quite as, there's some crazy ones. I've heard stories of crazy stuff. But the first thing they all do is like gather the troops, then try to give you shit. So they start to harass you to get you to stop. They either tell you, I love you, I don't know why you're doing this to me. If you're not falling for that, then it's like threats. I'm going to get an attorney. I'm going to tell your family. I'm going to tell the public, whatever. So then there's the threats, and I'm not minimizing that freaks people out. The attorney thing freaks most people out because they don't have attorney friends or haven't ever gone through this, so they don't know. And then the whole I'm gonna threats, I'm gonna tell people, and that too, that's super scary. Of course, all of this is scary. And in the midst of all the hormone soup that you may be feeling, where you're thinking, this person loves me, I love this person, I don't know why this is happening, and now I'm scared out of my freaking mind. It's no wonder that we can't get these guys prosecuted. It's no wonder that we can't even get enough stories out there for each one of them. That, right now, by the way, the one that I'm, tracking right now, we've got enough stories on the one website. It's starting to rank number one on the first page of Google. If you Google his name and Tantra together, you get to find him. So that's working, having a website up where people can come and report their story of somebody who was crossed the line, who abused them, who raped them, who did things that were not in any way ethical. And the more and more that people tell their story, the more and more we get to put them up on the site, the more and more people will run into them when they're checking them out. And yeah, and it's, by the way, it's not liable to tell your own story. You absolutely 100% can tell your own story anytime you want. Anytime you want. Now, a few years ago when we were working, against like Charles Muir and his whole gang right there, I was getting we're going to take you to court and, blah, blah, blah. We lost money. It was me and another woman, and then another woman. There was a bunch of people hitting him at the same time. And so things were getting crazy for them. And, yeah, I mean, they pulled out all the stops. So then the wives call, right? The girlfriends call, the crazy exes call. Everybody starts harassing the people that are calling out. And, the lawsuit, blah, 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 whatever. Oh, look, we've proven that it's cost us money, blah, blah, blah. And still nothing, nothing. So anyway, hopefully that helps a little bit of the understanding about why it is sometimes it's really difficult for people to walk away from these abusers and the chemistry that keeps them going. If you've coached somebody around these issues, it can build up and they bond to you. It takes 6 months at least for that chemistry to change if you are in contact at all. If you do sexual healing work with somebody, you can have chemistry up to a year. If you do lover sexual healing work with them, then yeah, it's over a year that their chemistry takes before it normalizes if there's any contact that keeps going. That's why you don't have sex with your clients. That's why you don't get to be a lover with your client. That's why you can't be kind of a client and then keep in contact and then get together, because it's still created by this not artificial. Sure, it's 100% chemistry, but it's created with a power dynamic and things that shouldn't be there to begin with. Anyway, ethically, when you're a healer, you don't do that with your clients. All right, that's it.